Good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Okay. I'm having this error message again. Shoot, I forgot to check it and make sure. I forgot to check and make sure that this was something to take care of. I'm so sorry. Let me just Google this. The warning indicates your stream bitrate is too low, which is likely needed for the quality and resolution of your video. To fix this, you must either adjust your streaming software to send a higher bitrate if your internet connection can handle it, or lower the resolution and frame rate. What frame rate am I on? 30. Well, we're just going to go with it. Because I forgot to solve this problem, and I think that we were okay last week. So welcome to the stream. Sorry for the distraction. I was supposed to take care of this last week, and I completely forgot. That's not true. I remembered, and I was like, I'll do it later. So here we are. Let me know if I freeze or if you can't see me or if anything happens. Welcome. My name is Angela. I am a software engineer and a front-end developer in St. Paul, Minnesota. I go live every Saturday and Sunday so we can practice HTML, CSS, vanilla JavaScript, because we are all about practicing here. Definitely not in denial about frameworks and libraries, but we do feel like it's just really important to practice the basics, practice the core foundational stuff, right? Monique Robinson is here. Yes. Milestone achieved. One moment. I have a runny nose. One moment here. Anytime you see me go off camera, it's because I have allergies and a chronic runny nose, and I don't like to do that on camera. So if you see me off camera, that's what I'm doing. Milestone achieved 1,000 subscribers. Go Elmo Go is here. There are mods in the chat. Hey, do me a favor. If you haven't yet, go ahead and like this video, and if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe as well. We would love to have you. And yeah, it took, I don't want this to be a channel about being a YouTuber, but it is a huge milestone. And I hear this statistic getting tossed around about how 90% of all YouTube channels never get to 1,000 subscribers. So it is a really big milestone, and it took me just over a year. I did my first live stream on August 11th, 2024. So today is August 30th. So it took us just a little over a year to get there. And, I probably could have done a lot of stuff to get there faster, but here we are. I don't regret my approach to YouTube at all, because this was a year of learning. There's a lot of people who have been regulars here from pretty much the start, and I appreciate everybody who has been here from the beginning, hanging out, cheering me on. But let's face it, I got to do a lot of stuff within a very small contained group of people, right? People who were here, who were totally supportive. And I got to try different things, like just figuring out the camera, figuring out the streaming software, figuring out my audio, figuring out what kind of projects that I should do, figuring out what time of day I should do things, how long should I do things. So I got to do all of these things in a very small, private, not noticeable way. So even though the growth was small, I don't regret at all that I took that approach and that I had that space to figure stuff out. So there you go. That's, if you're wondering what I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking. Terry Murray is here. Hello, Angela and friends. Hello, Terry. Welcome to the stream. We're happy to have you. So here we are. La Belle. I am absolutely loving what we did with this category filter, but we have a lot to get done this weekend. Yeah, I think we should just jump right into this footer and get this styled. We do need to, maybe we should just sort of recap what we've done so far. Our header is responsive, but we screwed a few things up last weekend. And that's fine. We'll go ahead and fix that. We also have some decisions that we need to make. But for the most part, the header just needs a good polish, I would say. Our category filter, we finished all of this functionality last weekend, but we are not in any way, shape, or form responsive on this category footer. We also need to make some decisions about what this filter functionality is going to look like on mobile. So I have an idea for this, and I want to show you another website called, Labor Day site-wide sale, 20% off. Ooh, okay. I don't need any more yarn. But I wanted to show you, let's just go to my favorite weight of yarn, which is DK. So here's the desktop filters. They have checkboxes that pop open and you can close it. And then on mobile, let's look at how this functions. And they are, I think this is a Vue app. I'm pretty sure this is a Vue app. I feel like I saw some Vue stuff in here. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. But let's look at the functionality on mobile. What do we think? So they basically treat their filter kind of like this off-canvas, fly-out navigation almost, right? And we know how to do that. Like, we have nailed that type of functionality. So I think and then here's their menu, which is entirely separate. So their menu comes out from the left, and then their filters come out from the right. So our menu comes out from the right. So let's take the same approach with our filter on the left. Right up here. Big brain, big brain. So if you're working on, let's say you're at work, right? And I've said this many times that it was very common for me to be handed a set of mock-ups for desktop, and it was very rare that I would get a separate set of mock-ups for mobile. I obviously don't know what every organization does or how every organization approaches. Oh my gosh, you guys cannot see my screen. Hang on. Gosh darn it. Okay. You should can you actually see me? Am I even streaming right now? Let me know in the chat if you can actually hear me. Nobody's saying anything, which makes me worry that you might not be able to see me either. This is a separate issue that I'm having where my screen freezes. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like I'm streaming. So, sorry about that. So this is what I was, let's start at least we caught it this time. Okay. So this is a website called Knitpicks that I like to buy yarn from. Okay. Go Elmo Go says, we see you and hear you. Terry says, you're good. Okay, good. Yeah, anything can happen, right? Streaming is dynamic. Did not realize it was supposed to be a different screen. Yeah, of course. I mean, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. So I was actually this past week recording, I did another project video, and for 17 minutes my screen was frozen and I didn't notice. And thank God it was a part of the project that I would have cut out anyways, right? So, but when I realized it, I was like, oh my God. And it happened last weekend too, when I was doing the walkthrough of the JavaScript for this site, and nobody said anything. And at first I was like, why didn't anybody in the chat say anything? And then I was like, they didn't realize that they were supposed to even be seeing something different. So I'm trying to do better about like keeping an eye on my streaming software to make sure that you guys actually see what I'm showing you. So Yes, Monique Robinson. I knew you would. I knew this would be a big hit with you in particular. Monique and I love to chat offline about knitting. We are both knitters. So, so this is a website called Knitpicks, and anytime I'm trying to work out like the details for how I should make something work on mobile, because I've said this in the past, it's a very common experience for me to get a set of mockups that only show the desktop view and rarely tell me what I'm supposed to do on mobile. It's always sort of been up to me. In a few isolated instances, I have had designers show me what the functionality should look like for mobile, but not very often. And in this case, all of these mockups generally do not come with mobile view. So my advice to you, if you're in this situation, is either go back and talk to your designer or go out and look around. We're all users of the internet. I'm willing to guess that we all shop online. We've all used e-commerce sites. Go look around and start to get a sense of what other websites are doing. So this is a website called Knitpicks. I love yarn. I'm a knitter. I'm a crocheter. And I thought, okay, well, I know Knitpicks has like a lot of filtering for their yarn. So how do they handle it? Well, here's their mobile, which slides in from the left. And then here's their filtering, which slides in from the right. And I thought, brilliant. We know how to do that. We know how to do that. And then just as a refresher, here's how they handle it on desktop. They hide it and they slide down right in the container right above the products themselves. So I think this is exactly what we should do with our filtering. We'll make our product grid responsive. There's plenty of room to do two by two, side by side. And then we'll go ahead and treat our filter as an additional slide out over here on the left, because we're already sliding out our navigation on the right. So we're going to work on this. But our number one priority today is we got to jump into this footer and just get this taken care of. And let's see what's happening in the chat. I think there are some questions. I have experience in JavaScript and I'm continuing with the front end track, but I want to move to Node. However, I know the basics like object-oriented programming, data structures, and algorithms and SQL is very important, and I want to learn. I will go to .NET to learn it on the back end. I will go to .NET is very important also in back end, and I learned C# in my college. Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of questions about what should I do next, what should my approach be, what should my roadmap be, and I think people are disappointed to find out that I don't have a strong opinion about that. There are so many things to learn. There are so many ways that you can set yourself up, right? You can do front end, you can do back end, you can do full stack, you could try to be a unicorn, you could try to be all things to all people. My approach is much different. I am not an object-oriented programmer. I have a software engineering degree, and that was hands down the most difficult part of getting that degree was getting through all of the advanced Python and Java that I had to take and the object-oriented programming. It was very difficult for me because after 12 years of doing this, I am very UI focused. Clearly, I am very UI focused. I enjoy HTML, CSS, and my JavaScript expertise is, I hate to say limited, but it kind of is limited to like DOM manipulation for the sake of the UI, right? So people ask me questions. What should I learn next? What should my roadmap be? And I don't have a good answer because there are too many things to learn. And I want you, the whole point of this channel is that if you choose to have a life in front end, that you continue to make sure that you understand the core foundational solid concepts, that you understand how HTML works, you understand accessibility, you are good at building a UI, you know how to make things usable on a mobile device. and that you don't need Node or package managers or compilers to do all those things. So this channel is just really about the basics and making sure that you're practicing. But newsflash, you can do that in whatever programming language you choose to get good at, right? So all of the things that you are pointing out here in the chat, if those are the things that you want to do and that you love doing, then do them. I want you to do them. I want you to do the things that you love to do, because the world still needs good programmers. I haven't seen anything to indicate that AI is taking over anything or anybody's jobs. I don't believe that that's true. AI is a tool. It's making us faster, and it's giving us the ability to do more faster, right? That is not equal to a human being who does strategy and understands how to build a UI and understands users and knows how to do their own BA work and gather requirements and communicate with their colleagues. AI doesn't replace all of the things that you still need humans to do. So learn to use AI as a tool that can make you better and faster, because that is what I think the future of development is. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So, and go Elmo go. That is a good point. The basics are the most important for building skills. Yeah. Oh, I think Monique is responding to the Nitpicks website. I think one of the best things you can do if you're practicing a lot like I am is just go out and see what other sites are doing. So I sometimes get annoyed. I'm like, oh, I spent $20 on these, 50 mockups, and there aren't anything in here telling me what I should do on mobile. And then I'm in these situations, I'm like, actually, this is kind of making me a better problem solver, right? Because I've worked with developers who couldn't lift a finger to help themselves unless somebody laid out the entire set of tasks before them. And I think what organizations need are developers who can think for themselves and solve problems and get out and figure stuff out. So always have a solid basic knowledge, and then it will be easier to learn the more complex structures. Totally agree. Totally agree. Okay. All right, here we are. So let's, we're going to tuck nitpicks away today. I just want to blast through a bunch of this styling. So if you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. Please do not be offended if I don't stop and immediately answer questions, because I want to do a little bit of focused work, because this is, after all, this is my practice time, right? This is my practice time. And you're hanging out with me while I'm practicing. So, and let's take a look at our footer so we know what we're doing here. There we go. I like this comment. Pure CSS holds a special place, as if an artist were freely painting or an architect were drawing a design with their own decisions. I totally agree. Memory clips. I think you left a comment on another video this week too. Well stated. Well stated. Thank you for that. I've said this a few times. It was a great decision to start doing vanilla only CSS for these streams and in a lot of my personal projects. It's just helped me improve my own front-end skills in ways that I can't even describe over the last year. So, and newsflash, you guys have seen pretty much 98% of me, all the practice that I've done for the last year, I've live streamed. This is my dedicated practice time. Right here, these live streams is when I'm doing that. So, yeah, so that's that. Okay, so let's do this. Follow us at Instagram, sign up for the newsletter. I don't have this little doodad right here. So I'm honestly not gonna worry about this little decorative thing. We can put a border here, and I mean, maybe we could just put some slashes there. I'm just gonna do a border, and if we have time, we'll worry about the decorative stuff. So let me refresh my memory about what. Here's the newsletter. Here's the Insta grid. Oh, and it's inside a section. Here's the newsletter inside of another section, inside a wrap called social wrap. And we're using grid for this. And I think we have this is the dark gray, this is the light gray. Okay. Okay, let's put some padding in here, maybe 3 rems and a background color. It's the light gray. Oh, and actually, I think we need to put this social, wait, Instagram. I'm refreshing myself of what it is that I even did here. Instagram. There we go. Yes, so I woke up this morning and I saw 1,000 subscribers, and I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't really excited, because I definitely was. So I definitely was. It's a huge milestone. Totally worth it. Totally worth all of the work. I think we could just put our serif right here, right? Our serif class. And then we can do, I'm going to do secondary heading inside the social wrap. And we'll do text transform. Uppercase, letter spacing, 2 pixels, color is green. Where are we? There we go. And this should be text align, center, and we definitely need a bigger font size. Maybe, I don't know, 4 rems. We'll try it out. Whoa, too big. And we also need to change the line height. I am partial to a line height of 1.25 on headers. Just seems to work. Let's zoom back out to the regular size. There we go. It's not the same font, but that's okay. That is just fine. And I'm going to take the margin off. How much margin do we have here? What does our user agent style sheet say? 0.83 ems on the top and bottom. So let's change that. I'm going to say margin 0 on the top and on the left and right, and I will put some on the bottom. I'll put a little more on the bottom. And I think we need a lot more padding on this container. There we go. That looks a lot better. I feel like there's more padding on the left and right than there is on the bottom. And let's put a border. We'll go ahead and put a border beneath. And I'm just going to do pseudo element. And so pseudo elements, we're going to use after. Pseudo elements actually create an element in the DOM, and they are just like children, but you have to use content. Even if it's empty, you have to use content in order to like snap it into action. So we'll say display block. We'll do a width of, I don't know, 100 pixels. I'm going to say height 0, and I'm going to say border bottom 2 pixels, solid, we'll do black. And since we have a width, we can just do margin. Should be able to do margin 0 auto to center that. There we go. Definitely 1 pixel. And then let's make sure, we're gonna have to give this, we'll do 1 rem on the top to push it down, and we'll do, well, we'll just do 1 on the top and bottom. Yeah, that works. A little more on the bottom, I think. Yeah, we might want to get something in there. Like, what else could we put in there? What else could we put in there? Should we just try something? Okay, I have an idea. Let's do before. So let's do another pseudo element. And then for content, we'll do, whoops. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like that because I'm not escaping them, I bet. There we go. I think that'll work. We'll say display block. We're gonna have to move this around. Display block. Well, let's just see where this, no, it doesn't, really doesn't like that. We'll just do forward slashes. There they are. Okay. So we're going to say font size 1 rem, color black, and we're going to have to say font family we changed our font to serif, so the pseudo classes, if we're adding content that's a font, we're going to have to change it. I'm going to do line height 1, change it back. All right, don't think we need the spaces. And we're going to make this position relative. Then I'm going to make this position absolute. I'm going to do left 50%. Bottom 0. Let's just see where this is. Woo, we're close. And then we're going to say transform, translate x negative 50%. And then I think we're already on the bottom, so probably we would be better just saying top 100% to push it down. So let's think about this. We moved our border down. We put a rem. So there's 1 rem of space on top of that border. And we did top 100%, so our slashes are just beneath that 1 rem. So we can do calc 100% minus 0.5 rems. Oh, just like that. Top 100% we did it. See? Right here. Right here. Thinking. Always thinking. Yeah, that worked. That worked. This is solid. This is solid. Math. They said I would need math and I never believed them, and it turns out just a little bit of math will actually get you pretty far in life. It's crazy. So, okay, well that's exciting. Yeah, the backslashes didn't really work, but I'm good with the forward slashes. I'm good with the forward slashes. So, okay, let's get our newsletter situated. So that section is newsletter. Right here. Do we already have newsletter in here someplace? No. So I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. Padding 5 rems. And background color is dark gray. There we go. And this title, the only thing we're going to change we're going to change the secondary heading color, but we're going to leave everything else. So newsletter, secondary heading, and we're just going to change the color to light gray. There we go. And our border, we can handle that. So newsletter, secondary heading before, newsletter, secondary heading after. We're just going to combine some styles. Border color, light gray, and color, light gray. There we go. Wow. All right. All right. Hold, please. right, I need a sip of coffee. So far, this is going swimmingly. I like going with the flow when it comes to designing personal projects. Makes me feel like my imagination has no limits. So here's what I think you're experiencing. You're experiencing the creative process. So me personally, I do like having a mock-up and a plan. I kind of need a little bit of structure to get myself going, but I embrace the fact that I don't have it all figured out and that I don't know exactly everything that I'm going to be doing. Yeah, so that's just me. That's just me. And then I sort of embrace the creative process. I figure things out as I'm going. And Memory Clip says, yes, I started learning last year, and from the first moment I started learning, still I like to do something freely. Yes, agree. I agree. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So I think we just need to get our form in shape here. So we have an input with a type of email, and I did put in a class of input. I don't really think we need this class. I can style this with the type of email. I did make it required, but I'm going to take out this required because it's not a real working form. So, although we could leave it in. We could leave it in. Yeah, we'll leave it in. There's no action on the form. There's no action on the form, so it doesn't go anywhere. But with required, if you hit subscribe, it just the HTML, just the browser is going to, the browser is going to say, hey, no, you actually have to fill this in. So, oh, and Artie and Trees is here. Artie and Trees, hello, welcome. Yeah, Monique is saying I need a little structure. So this is why I encourage front-end developers to at least attempt to sort of flex your front-end develop or your design skills, not become a designer if you don't want to, obviously, but just sort of like learn to embrace design tools, Figma, Affinity, Photo, whatever works for you. Just because having a little bit of structure can really help. Or do what I do, go out and just grab some mock-ups to start building. You don't have to follow them exactly. You just use it for a little bit of design inspiration. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get this form styled. Oh, we'll do it right here in the newsletter. And this is form class form input type email. Form input and I'm just going to say width 100% so it takes up the full width of the container. I'm going to give it some padding, like we'll give it a rem of padding. Perfect. Your email address. And then I'm just going to position this button inside. Excuse me. So I'm going to put on the form, I'm going to say position relative. And then I think it's just button with a class of submit. So I'm going to say form, submit, position absolute, top 0, right 0, display block. Even though buttons are display inline block by default, I usually do display block. And 1 rem of padding. We'll also say text, transform, uppercase, letter spacing, 1 pixel. Oh, look at that. And then we'll say border, none, background color transparent. Let's make sure that all of our buttons, do we have, let's make sure that all of our buttons have a cursor of pointer. And then let's make sure that this has a hover. So our background color is transparent, but we still need a hover. So we're going to do focus, hover, active. And we'll say background color. I'm going to do the green color. And then we'll change the text color to white. Use light gray. Which means we'll declare a color here as well. And it looks like we have an ID or a name attribute. Okay. It wants us to have a name. So that would be for the API. If you're actually sending this data, you would need a name. We are not connected to an API. Obviously, there's no form action. But the browser, what don't you like? An element doesn't have an autocomplete issue. Okay. Autocomplete. Okay. Incorrect use of label form element increase. Oh, I didn't put an ID in. Okay. I feel annoyed. I shouldn't be because Chrome is trying to help me get this right. Okay. Do we have any other mistakes in our form? No. We have an ID. And that was correct. That was my bad that I missed that. We have a name. That's for the API. If this was actually sending someplace, you would need to have a place to put that data. We have an autocomplete, and we have a required. Okay. Okay. So what was my original problem right here? Probably because the input has a border. So let's just take that out. Border, none. And that should fit in there nice and snug. There we go. Now let's put a transition on that. So we'll say transition. I'm going to use all 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. There we go. Beautiful. 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 Well, we're having a very nice chill day so far, aren't we? Okay, so let's get our footer taken care of. We basically have a black background. And this is so here's the entire footer. In 2 sections. So I'm going to set a black background on the entire footer because each of our sections inside the social wrap also have a background color. And yeah, that will save us a little bit of extra div shenanigans. So I'm just going to say footer, background color, black. There we go. And we'll say color white. But then I'm also going to say footer, all anchor elements should also be, well, we'll take off the text decoration, none. Whoops. Text decoration, none. And the color should also be white. There we go. And then let's make sure that we do have a hover active focus. So we probably don't want to take that off. Let's go look for, do we have other styles for text decoration? Yes, right here. We're going to borrow this. Text decoration, color transparent, thickness. You never want to remove it altogether if you're going to transition it. If you do that, you'll see a little jump on hover or active. So you want to make sure it's there, it's still taking up space, but that it's transparent and that you just transition from transparent to an actual color. So we'll do focus, hover, oops, active, and we'll transition the text decoration color to white. There we go. We obviously have more styling to do here, so okay, so we can take this out. We don't want it to be uppercase. And let's give this a little more offset. I actually think that we should make these display block. It'll be a little easier for styling. There we go. It's a little better offset. And then let's make sure that we have a transition. Transition, just gonna say all 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. There we go. Nice smooth transition, very soft. All right, so how does this look? So let's get these 4 columns under control first, and then we'll come over here and we'll finish this about us. Make this a little bigger. It's not super clear, but I think we get the gist, right? So these are H3s. These are called the footer heading. Footer items wrap, footer items, footer items. The meta must be down here at the bottom. Got it. Footer items, footer heading. We'll go right here. So I'm going to say text transform uppercase, letter spacing 1 pixel, and we definitely need to adjust the font weight back to 400. It's bold by default. And I feel like we don't have quite enough room here in this footer. It needs to be a little wider. It's 75 rems. We need to make this a little wide. It also has too many columns. Let's see here. It has too many columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Repeat. Oh, is this why I couldn't get it to work? Repeat 5 FR. Yeah, I couldn't get the mobile styles to work the last time we worked on this. I still don't know why. Oh. Repeat 5. Yeah, I'm gonna ask, let's just ask ChatGPT for help with this. You need help, right? I need help with CSS grid. I have a total of 5 columns. I have 5 columns. The first column should be double. The remaining 4 should be single. This is my CSS. But it's adding a one, two, three. It's adding a 5th column. A 5th column. You're super close. The issue is in your repeat count. That expands to 6 columns. You only want 5 total. Oh, repeat 4. Duh. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. You can see it instantly. But also, I think we do need to make the footer as wide as our container, because I know that yeah, right here, I did set it separately. So where's our other wrap? Max width. Navigation is 65, 100. We set it to 100. So I'm going to set this to 100 also. Yeah, in hindsight, that makes complete sense. There we go. Look at that. There we go. Yeah, and so now this is not working. By the way, did you know that you could put a picture into ChatGPT and it can read the picture and help you troubleshoot? Yes. Great. That fixed it. That fixed it. But my media query isn't working. I see what's happening in your screenshot. Your rule is working, but it's overriding your base grid because of CSS Cascade. At the bottom, your default rule is above inside the media query you have if your view my specificity is correct. Hang on. My specificity is correct. The media query is firing in the browser, but my layout isn't changing. Look at the layout on the left. I mean, I don't think my CSS is wrong here. Grid template columns, grid template columns. My specificity is correct. This all comes afterwards. Max width is what I want. You're not crazy. The query is applying. The reason the layout isn't collapsing is almost certainly that the grid is still auto-creating extra columns. Look for either of these on the footer items wrap or a global reset. If the auto flow is set to column, items will keep filling columns even when you define grid template columns. So you end up with implicit columns and the 5-up look never changes. Grid auto flow row. Optional. Grid auto columns auto. mean, am I crazy? Am I missing something here? This should be dropping down to one column, right? Is it because of this, do you think? The span 6? What is it? Footer meta. Grid column. Grid column. How much you want to bet that might be it? There we go. That was it. Okay, that was it. Got it. Let me tell ChatGPT that we got it right. I found the problem. It was this. It was also in the container. I added it to the media query and set it to 1. Now it works. Yeah, so that was forcing that element to stretch across the 6 grid tracks. So the browser kept implicitly creating the extra columns. You know what? This is how you learn these really nuanced things. This is how you do it, right? You gotta like put yourself in these situations. So let's see what's happening in the chat. And Jackie1 says, hello, will you teach us React or Next later on? Unfortunately, no, I won't, because I don't actually know either of those things. So I used Vue for 7 years at my last job. I really do like Vue JS. I've worked on a few Angular apps. I've built one full stack Angular app, which honestly I never really finished it. I should go back and finish it. It's a fun little project. And I've been hired to work on an Angular app, and I've done a couple small projects. I like Angular too. I've never used React, so I just was never at a job where I needed to learn it. I never had a client that asked me to use it for anything, so I never learned it. This is a channel that is really about HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript and just practicing. And to be clear, I'm not against those things. I don't think those things are wrong or bad or hurt front-end development in any way, shape, or form. I just personally like to practice with the basics. I just enjoy it, and that's what we do here. It's really just about practicing and making sure that as front-end developers, we know what those basic skills are. And the reason I think that more front-end developers need to go back to basics are the number of junior developers who have come out of expensive, intense, time-consuming boot camps not knowing basics. I have run into junior developers who could build React apps but didn't understand basic CSS. I was in an interview once, part of a hiring team, and I asked some very CSS focused questions just to see if this candidate sort of understood basics, and he flat out said no, I would just use Bootstrap and not worry about things like that. He was comfortable with that. He was a great developer. He was a very good developer, but he was comfortable with an answer like that. And I think that that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake. I think if you're a new developer getting hired at an agency or an organization, you're not going to get shiny new apps to work on. You're going to get a lot of legacy code, and it's in your best interest to know how to do some basic stuff. So just in my opinion. Anyways, okay. this is coming together really well, and we solved our CSS or our mobile issue. So let's put a little bit of padding here. Well, I don't want to put padding here. Or maybe I do, because we have it up here, so it would still be an inline up there. So I'm going to put a little padding here. 0 on the top and bottom, 1 rem on the left and right. Perfect. And then what else do we need to do to get these lists in order? I think they just need a little more space. Oh, they're pretty spaced out. They're pretty spaced out. Let's get those bullets off of there. So this is the footer items UL. Right here. And we'll say padding 0, margin 0, just to get rid of those browser defaults. And then we'll take that list style type and say none. That's to get rid of those bullets. Perfect. And then we need a lot of space here. So I'm going to say footer items UL LI. I don't think I put any classes. Nope, I didn't. That's fine. For the list items, these are already, I think the list items by default, the display is what? Like list, what is it? Is there no user agent style sheet for the LIs? Yeah, right here. Display list item. And they're already getting kind of this full width treatment. Probably, yeah, because we made the anchor links display block. So I'm not going to do anything different there. Let's just go ahead and put, I'm just going to put margin. I'm just going to put margin on these LIs. Whoops. I'm going to put 0.5 rems of margin on the top and bottom. Oh, a little more. Ooh, a lot more. There we go. And we need a lot of padding inside this section, inside the footer items wrap. So I put 1 on the left and right, but we need a lot more. So let's put let's do 3 on the top and bottom, and then that will match the sections above. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then our first section right here is going to need a little bit of special styling. So we're going to do footer items first of type. You could definitely just come in here and put a class here. In fact, let's just do that. We can just put a class here. So we'll just say, what is it? It's the about section. We'll just say about items. About items. This needs padding on top. So we've got top, bottom, left, right. Top, right, bottom, left. So right. We'll just do padding right. we go. Did I put letter spacing? I'm gonna put a little extra letter spacing here. There we go. That makes a huge difference. There really isn't letter spacing here at all. I personally like it though. That looks like about 2 rems, right? Let's add a little more space after this header. So I'm going to say margin 0, 0, 2. There we go. Yeah. Okay. That looks okay. And then we've got this footer list. And these are all LIs. So there's the phone number. We've got an SVG and we've got 2 anchor links. We have an SVG. Oh, we need an email address. So we'll put in another anchor link. And then we have an SVG and an address. So we should put these in a container. Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier for styling. So I'm just going to say div class tel items, tel for telephone, and then here, well, we should be a little less specific. So let's just say, we'll say LI items, list items. And I can do the same thing here. Div with a class LI items. Yeah. And then this will be mail to and then we've got the address. So now we'll do about items, display flex, flex flow, row, no wrap, justify content, space between, align items, center, top, flex start. And we'll just do a gap of 1 rem to see how it looks. Oh, yeah, that makes sense that would look like that, right? So I think this also needs to be flex start. There we go. What do we think? I think our icons are a little too big. So we can do about items, LI, SVG. What are they right now? They are 2 rems. I'm going to say width 1.5 rems, height 1.5 rems. There we go. And then let's, I think we just need to change the font style on the address. And we can also put in, I'm just going to put in a break, a BR tag. And then about items, address, font style, normal. Not italic, basically. Look at that. We have a footer. We have a footer. And then let's, here's our footer meta. How much, it gets a lot of space. Here's our footer meta. So I'm also going to give this a lot of padding. We'll say 3 rems on the top and bottom, and then we'll do a border bottom. 1 pixel, solid, and I'm going to do a dark gray. Up top, actually border top. And then let's also give this some margin on the top. Yeah, there we go. And then let's also text align center. It looks really squished. I'm just going to give this a tiny bit of letter spacing for that footer. There we go. That looks a lot better. Nice. Look at this. So I think we just need to polish off some of our remaining desktop styles. Let's get this situated. Let's get our load more buttons situated. And then let's clean up what's happening in this header on mobile. I've decided I'm not going to worry about these things right here because it's not really part of it was never really my intent as part of the project to be able to switch the languages or the currencies. If we have time tomorrow, we can implement them. And we're making great time here today. We're making great time. My primary objective for today was getting this footer put together, smoothing out some remaining styles. Let's make our grid. Yeah, we're making excellent time here. We're making excellent time. Let's see what the chat has to say. Free Mind, welcome. Happy to have you. She doesn't use frameworks. She only uses HTML, CSS, and JS. With the caveat that there's nothing wrong with the framework. I just enjoy the basics, right? Memory clips. Do you use SCSS? I don't like that I have to use a compiler for it every time with an extension, but the syntax of SCSS are all nested the way that I like. So I do. I've been a Sass user for over a decade. I learned Sass almost as soon as I learned CSS. And you don't actually need a browser extension to run Sass. You can install Sass. You can install Sass and just run embedded Dart Sass. Let's see here. Installed Dart Sass. I would install Dart SAS. I don't know if I'm on a Mac, so I would use Homebrew to install those things. I would install SAS and just run the SAS command on your terminal. That's what I would recommend doing. You don't browse. I think the browser extensions for VS Code are really handy, and I do use that a lot when I'm working on my SAS projects, because I do have a lot of SAS projects. Um, but you can also, like I said, just install SAS globally on whatever operating system you're working on, and then just run the command without using an extension. But you obviously need a compiler to do that. I think SAS is great. I will say this, having switched to vanilla CSS, I now know that my nesting was out of control in SAS. I was overly specific. I was running into a lot of problems where I understand now I was having to write a lot of really repetitive CSS, and switching back to vanilla CSS, it's gotten me thinking a lot more about what do I want to be something that is global, and what do I want to be something that is really specific. Also, I would highly recommend maybe just going on MDN and looking up, just reading a little bit more about specificity and inheritance and user agent style sheets. Those three things. So specificity, inheritance, user agent style sheets. And having a better understanding of those three things, along with using vanilla CSS, has just gotten me back to a place where I'm being a little more thoughtful with the type of CSS that I'm writing. But I totally agree that SAS is an amazing tool, and the nesting is really, really great. So I don't have anything against it. I just personally am happy to be back in basics. And here's the thing, like my personal website uses SAS. All of my client projects use SAS. I don't think I would ever approach a client and say we're going to do everything with vanilla CSS, unless it was like maybe a fairly simple landing page like what I'm building in these streams. But for the most part, I think you're going to find some version of compiled CSS in every enterprise level website, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't practice vanilla CSS in order to just stay focused on inheritance, specificity, and user agent style sheets. Understand those three things and write a little vanilla CSS once in a while, and I think that you will enjoy it. Just my personal opinion. Okay, what do we think? This looks amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Do we need to... So I was just thinking, do we need to center this to be center aligned with this? And we do not. We do not. And Andrea is asking, can you please share some good courses or books for someone who wants to learn CSS? My best advice, so I think that, I mean, in all honesty, it's been a very, very long time since it's been a very long time since I've taken a CSS course. I mean, it's been over a decade. I've been doing this for 12 years. I don't think I've done a CSS course since 2011 or 2012. And I have to tell you, all of my learning came from project-based learning. So I look at courses or tutorials if there is something very specific that I need to learn, but I don't spend a lot of time on those things. I jump immediately into a project to apply those skills. That's where the learning really comes. So my best advice to you is to go do a course. Maybe Traversy Media or Dave Gray has a great YouTube channel, but you're going to learn the most, not from a course, not from a tutorial. You're going to learn the most from an actual project. I I would encourage you to go out and find a mock-up exactly like I'm doing here. This is a mock-up that I've had in my collection for over a decade. I bought mock-ups when I was freelancing because I needed help with layout and design. I'm not a very good designer. And that's what I'm doing in these streams. I'm just grabbing these mock-ups and we're building them to practice. Go out and find a mock-up and start building. You don't need a course. You don't need a tutorial to learn CSS. You just need to start applying these concepts immediately. That is going to be the fastest way for you to learn. And I think that it's a better strategy than watching courses and tutorials. So, and I'm giving you this advice because the fact that you're even here asking that question says to me that you know what CSS is. You've probably already watched some courses or tutorials and you're just not sure how to get started. So if you really feel like you need a course, go to like Dave Gray or Brad Traversy and watch one of their beginning CSS courses. And then once you feel like things are starting to click, you need to immediately start building projects, and that is going to be the fastest way for you to learn. So, and Memory Clips is saying maybe we need some border radius. I don't really have any border radius though in the mockup, do I? Don't really have any border radius here in the mockup. And I will tell you, and this is just me, I don't like border radius. I'll do it if I have to. If it's in the mockup, and occasionally I will apply a border radius, but I actually don't like border radius. And I know a lot of people really like it and think it looks polished. I can't stand it. I don't like it. But you should do whatever you like. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. So, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's the whole point of these streams. It's about practicing. You will, I mean, I guess never say never. I just don't think you're ever going to see me building a course or making a course, because it's not, I don't think it's a good way to learn. Courses introduce you to a topic or a concept or syntax, and there's nothing wrong with a course. The problem though is how many new developers I see being caught in tutorial hell. They think, oh, I just need another course or another tutorial and then I can start building something. No, you don't need another course. You don't need another tutorial. All you need is index.html and style.css. That's what you need. That's what you need to learn. And then just Google mockup, website user interface. They're everywhere. They're everywhere and they're free. You don't have to go out and pay for them like I do. You just Google it, find one and start building it. It doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing. You're not supposed to know what you're doing. You will learn as you go. You will learn to be a problem solver. That's the point. So, just my 2 cents. Just my 2 cents. So, Memory Clips, I hope I'm not hurting your feelings by telling you I don't like border radius. So, but I have to be honest, right? I have to be honest. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. And you will make your notes and you will learn from your mistakes and memory muscle. Yep, for sure. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Just go do it. Just go do it. Okay. So let's I really want to come back up here and start to put a little bit of polish here. So we screwed up some of our buttons last week. That's fine. I really want to take out these slider controls because I've decided that I have no intention of actually turning this into a slider. If we have time, I may. So this is the Castle Arts website, and they clearly have this little slider up here at the top that just auto slides. Now, I like it. It's not an accessibility best practice though, but it's so tiny and cute. It's so tiny and cute. So maybe, I don't know. And here's what it looks like on mobile. So I'm going to style this as if we were building this, but we're not really going to build out that slider, but we're going to style it that way. So let's get rid of these slider controls. It's okay, good. It's okay that I don't like it. Every conception is different on its own. Like here, I understand we do mock-ups. Yep. And Go Elmo Go says he loves the border radius. He's on your side. So you have people in your corner. Listen, you're not the I'm not. I know you're not criticizing. I have been criticized for not implementing more border radius. So I had a project manager once when I was doing contract work for a very small agency. This was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And he did this project, this particular project manager just didn't like me. We didn't get along. He didn't like me. I didn't like him. It was mutual. We did not like each other. And one of the many things he would criticize me for was that I'd never used border radius on images and it made the websites look cheap and unfinished. I mean, okay, whatever. Whatever. So, yeah, I'm not actually going to do too much more up here. Yeah, I'm not going to do too much more up here. So we took out those arrows. Let's just tighten up the padding and call it a day up here. So we've got this meta header. It's got a rem of padding. I feel like we could just take all of the padding out. Maybe we want like a little bit. So the meta header. I mean, I have lots of stories of all the ways that I've been criticized, the number of times that I've been told to just do what I'm told. It's been an interesting few years. Yeah, we're going to take these slider. We took those out. And this is the meta header. We'll take this out too. Right here. And we're just going to put in a tiny bit of padding. And then we also have, we very clearly have some padding on the left and right too. So the meta header wrap, we're going to just completely take that out right here. Wait, meta header wrap. Oh, it has right here, it's global. Okay, well, we're going to take it out just for this right here. That looks fine. That looks much tidier now, doesn't it? Yeah, that looks much tidier now for mobile. So even if it wraps, let's see here. Okay, well, that's not a good test. We need to get our product grid in order, but I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Not every single thing is going to be perfectly polished. Done is good enough. I also want people to see that it's okay to ship quickly and not have everything be perfect. You absolutely should be making a list of what needs to be done in order to ship and deploy and what can wait. That is okay. That's the real world. That's the real world. So let's fix our button. Menu button. Here's our other buttons. So I think this just needs its padding. Menu button. So we were using the user drop styles. Right here. We don't need to worry about this because there's no text. No, we don't need to worry about that. It does need padding though. Okay, so it needs some padding. And then the SVG needs 1.5 right here. So width, 1.5 rems, height, 1.5 rems. All right, there we go. So now we're fixed. So there we go. That's our header. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. There we go. All right. Let's clamp this right here. And this is the page name. And the font size is 3 rems. We're going to clamp that right here. So this is, I'm just going to put it right here. It's not exactly part of this grouping, but it's just right there. So Oh, no, if we're going to clamp it, we don't need a media query. We just put it right here. Whoop. So on the low end, let's try 1.25 rems. And then for the middle value, I'm going to say 3 rems, or 3, it's VW, viewport width, and then 3 rems on the top value. Let's see how that works. Ooh, that's pretty small. So here you can see right here, 3 rems, 3.5, 2 rems. So as we adjust, now we go to 3.5, right about where I would expect. Now we're down to about 2. That's perfect. And then let's adjust. That's the first time I've gotten that on the almost first try. Let's adjust our line height to 1.25. Perfect. And then let's also clamp our margin. I'm going to clamp our margin with the exact same values. So we'll say, well, not exactly the same, but close. We'll see how this looks. Nice. I think that looks great. Right there. That's about 300. Oh, this is a good question. Is Monique going to make a guest appearance on the video sometime? She seems like she's managing your live. Monique is, I mean, so all of the mods I adore. Monique and I, we definitely have a special bond. I think she was one of the earliest people to find me last fall, end of summer, last fall, right in there. I know that Emilio found me right around in October. Go Elmo Go, you've been here for, I think you found me in 2025. Go Elmo Go, if I'm not mistaken. But Monique and I have bonded over knitting and crocheting and our love of yarn. And I would love to have Monique on the channel, but I also respect people's privacy. So Monique, you tell me if you ever want to be a guest on the channel to chat with people and talk about your own experience in development, because I don't think development was your original career. I think you have had another career. I would love to have Monique on. I would love to have all the mods on to chat with people. So I will let her decide if that's something that she wants to do, but I would love to do that sometime. So let's do this. I think that we'll do the full off canvas build out of our filter tomorrow, but for now, let's at least make this mobile. So here's our grid wrap. Here's our aside, which is the sidebar filter. Let's just go ahead and hide that and then get our grid here responsive. So that is the sidebar filter. All right, I'm going to do this right here. So we'll say, oh, Monique says no, I will just sit back and moderate. And listen, I absolutely respect people wanting to remain private and not be on camera. You absolutely cannot force that. And here's how I know. It's because the number of friends that I have who are developers who have asked to come on the channel and they don't want to. And it's not because of me. It's because that's not them. They are not, they don't want to be active on social media. They don't want to be on YouTube. So we absolutely respect people's privacy. And honestly, I'm just happy to have some of my favorite people here as mods hanging out and keeping the chat keeping the chat safe and friendly. So absolutely respect people's privacy and what people want to do. So let's see here. So this was the sidebar filter. So we'll say sidebar filter. It's not going to be display none. It'll be visibility hidden. Opacity 0. We're going to say width 300 pixels. Max width 100%. We're also going to say position fixed. Oops. Position fixed. Top 0. Left negative 300 pixels. And then I'm going to set a transform of translate x 0. And we also need to do a height of 100 VH. Oh, and by the way, Rahil, just wanted to make sure I was actually saying hello. So, because I think this was your first time in chat today, so I wanted to make sure I say hello, because you've been here for a few weeks too. So I had to look how long I've been watching. I subscribed in March, but I think I watched your videos months before. I knew it had been earlier this year. Earlier this year. So, and then let's do background color, white. What else do we need? There we go. Oh, this is our load more button. We have to fix that too. Here's our load more button. Inside the grid wrap, here's the, yeah. Here's the product meta. So I think that this product meta and load more button should be outside the wrap. Here's our filter. Right here. So I think this can be right here. I kind of feel like this button can be right here. There we go. Yeah. So let's see how this looks on desktop. Product meta, load more. Wonder what would happen if we just put the button inside. That would be extremely helpful for me. So it's display flex because of what we're doing up on top. So I think I don't want this down here, so I'm just going to change the class. Just going to change the class. So we'll just say, let's just say load more meta. There, that's actually perfect right there. Is it though? Do we want it to be kind of tucked up underneath there? So the grid wrap, there's the sidebar, there's this. I think I do kind of want it tucked up there. Which means that I would put it immediately after the product grid wrap. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Oh no, after the products. Oops. Yeah. So the product grid wrap, the product meta, the products. Yeah, actually that's kind of perfect. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so load more meta. So there's our sort. There's the product grid right here. Load more meta. We don't really need to do anything to this. Well, we're going to do a little something here, but so I'm going to do border top 1 pixel solid, and we'll give this the gray, and I'm going to do the same thing, border bottom. This is not part of the mockup. I am taking liberties. And we're going to say text align center, which should center both of those things. And then we'll add some padding, maybe 2 rems on the top and bottom. And then we'll add some margin, also 2 rems on the top and bottom. Yeah, I love it. I think I'm going to skip the border bottom though. There we go. Because we have, no, we don't have a border up here, but don't you think it looks better with a border down here? Yeah. Oh, and we have to make sure that our button, load more meta button, hang on, we have to make sure that we're hiding that. So if the button more active, I'm pretty sure I have a class for that, but more I don't. Okay, so if there are more items, there's a class that says more active. And then when there are no items, that class goes away. So we want button plus more active. Button has, hang on, I have to think about this. Button plus more, load, okay, load more meta button. Hang on. Load more meta button. Display inline block. More active. So, and then load more meta button, display none. So I think this should come before this. So if it's just the button, display none, but if this class is present, then display inline. Inline block. Yep, that works. Perfect. Perfect. So now we need to adjust our grid right here. So here's our product grid. Oh, it's actually this right here. So we're, yep, so we want to change this grid wrap for mobile. And I'm going to put a media query right here. So we'll say grid template columns. Oops. Grid template columns. Oh, grid wrap. Grid template columns, 1 FR, and then gap 0. All right, so far so good. And I actually think this holds up pretty well with 3 across. Let's also, so now we need to start adjusting this, just the product grid. So I also want to take this down to 1 gap of rem on the product grid. Right here. So I'm going to put a media query here. Product grid. So we'll say gap 1 rem. And then So that's 768. There's 700. I don't think this holds up. Also, what's going on with our images when we get really small? That shouldn't be doing that. I mean, it's pretty consistently not right there, huh? I don't know why that's happening. Huh. So I hope for people wondering, like, what's the best way to learn CSS? This is the best way to do it. Notice something that doesn't work the way you expect it to and try to figure out why. It's infuriating and frustrating and it makes you want to rip your hair out, but it is the best way to learn. So we can see here that these images, I don't know why the images are doing that. Because I feel like my image styles are pretty solid. But clearly, each of these columns, okay, so that column is 164.56 pixels wide. That's 178, and that's 190.59. So each of these columns is a different width. So the images are sizing correctly. The columns are just inconsistent. I don't know why. Let's it could, there just must be something. It could, is it this? I don't know. When does that happen? That happens, so it's happening right here. Oh, it's because of this up here is flex flow row no wrap. So if we change this to wrap, that starts to wrap, but the columns just, I have noticed with CSS Grid that at some point it just stops resizing. It just only goes down so far. There's like some sort of minimum threshold of things resizing. So let's ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is pretty good at like figuring out what I'm trying to ask it. So I've noticed with CSS Grid that when I'm writing mobile styles, columns only resize so far, meaning they just stop shrinking even when I think there's room to resize. Yeah, and I'm going to include a screenshot here. Although this product meta let's see what it has to say here. Tracks stop shrinking because the item's intrinsic minimum sizes block them. Let columns actually shrink. Oh, yeah, people have been telling me to use this min-max. So this removes the content size minimum that makes one FR behave like at least min content. Allow children to get narrower. Oh, interesting. Many components or cards have a minimum width auto, like its content-based setting. Min width 0 lets text and images shrink within the column. Okay, that's fair. Okay, that's fair enough. So I don't need it to shrink. It's just an observation. So once I get to, I've already decided that it's 768. We're going to drop this down into 2 columns. And I am going to make an effort to be a little more robust with CSS Grid now that I'm not going to say I understand this problem, now that I kind of know what the problem is. So let's do another media query. So that was an adventure. Media, max width, 768. And we're going to change this to template grid columns. And we have to change this to 2. Yeah, it's only going to let us get so... But I think we just need to work on this right here. We just have some overflow issues. So this product meta wrap, I think that I doubled up on grid and flexbox here, and it doesn't like that. So let's take that out. And then this needs... We need to change the flow wrap. So I do want this, but we're going to change the flow. Is it flow wrap? Oh, that's not right. Flow wrap. Doesn't look right, does it? Wrap flow? Is it flow wrap or wrap flow? Gosh darn it, why can't I ever remember? CSS, Flexbox, flow wrap. Flex wrap. Flex direction and flex wrap. There we go. Okay, that helps. We still have something overflowing here. Is it in our footer? Yeah, so I think I just need a day to like understand this a little bit better, and we can refine this tomorrow. Yeah, we'll get this refined tomorrow, and then that will give me a chance to understand a little bit better what the best approach is. But I am very happy with what we got done today. I mean, everything else that we need to do tomorrow is like polish. It's polished. So let's go ahead and commit this. And then tomorrow we can just like put the polish on everything. Ooh, one moment. All right, there we go. So we'll go ahead and git commit. Finish footer styles, and then a responsive product grid. All right. I love it. I love it. I was very worried about what we were going to get done this weekend because I just felt like there was so much to do. And thrilled. I'm thrilled with what we figured out in just a day. So tomorrow we will finish getting our products ironed out. Our header is responsive. I'm not going to do anything else to the header or the navigation. And then we'll make sure that we have a nice flyout menu for the filter. And then we'll tighten up our responsive styles overall. We won't have any trouble getting this done tomorrow. None whatsoever. Thank you to everybody who joined us today. So happy to have everybody here. Yes, celebrate. I get stressed out sometimes. You're welcome, Memory Clips. I'm happy to have you. Thank you for your nice comments this week, and thank you for joining the chat. We love having you. Um, I get really stressed out sometimes. I'm like, I don't know if I can finish this in 2 days. I don't know if I can finish this in a weekend. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about that. And then here we are. We get it all done. We figure it out. We figure it all out. Go Elmo, go. Thank you so much. Thank you to the mods, Monique and Go Elmo Go today. And yeah, just thank you to everybody who has shown up. However long you've been here, whether you've been here from the beginning, whether you just found me this week, thank you for hanging out in the chat, supporting the channels, liking, subscribing, which by the way, if you're watching and you haven't liked yet, I would appreciate it so much if you would like the video and obviously subscribe to the channel so we can push more content like this out to other front-end developers who are looking for this kind of content. I have more projects coming. I recorded, in fact, would you like a sneak peek? I would love to give you a sneak peek. So I think most people know this, but if you don't know this, I take all of the streams and I edit them into one big project compilation video. And what I do is I just edit out my interactions like this with the chat. So it's a very focused project build, and they're really long. They're like 9, 10, 11, 12 hours long. But I personally love that kind of content. So this project, this label will be released. I don't know if I'm going to release it this week or next week, but I have another project that I did this week. I'm also starting to record like a midweek project. In July, I was recording tutorials, and guess what? I hate recording tutorials. They are high effort and nobody watches them. I mean, some people watch them, but there's a lot of competition on YouTube for tutorials. And I personally don't see a lot of people doing the long form project videos. And YouTube is being very explicit in my analytics saying, hey, people are actually searching for that type of content. And that's the type of content that I enjoy making. It is effortless for me to just hit record and talk through a long form project. I love it so much. So that's what I started recording as sort of like my midweek projects. So this is what I did this past week. This is another mock-up that I had in my collection. It was part of a pack called San Mari. So I grabbed this. This is another filter, and I built this out, and I got this recorded in, I think, about 24 hours, and I'm almost done editing it, and it's going to end up being about maybe like in the 5 to 6 hour ballpark. And I had a lot of fun making this. So I think this is going to be coming out this week. And then the full build for this, our label category filter, is going to be coming out the following week. And this label is turning out to be around 10 or 11 hours, I think, in that ballpark. So I should be done editing this weekend. So I have 2 really good project builds in the queue coming out, getting ready to come out. And yeah, that's my plan, is to keep streaming and to keep, recycling the streams as project builds, because that's working really, really well for me and I enjoy doing it. And then doing one sort of like mid-sized project build during the middle of the week. So anywhere from maybe 1 hour to 4 or 5 hours, right in that ballpark, depending on what it is that I decide to do. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying making this type of content. And also, fun fact, on July 1st, so literally 2 months ago, we had 499 subscribers. So we more than doubled the channel. Yeah, we're up now to 1,020. So we more than doubled the channel in 2 months. So I'm very proud of this. I'm very proud of this. It was a lot of work, but it was totally worth it. It was totally worth it. So there we are. So thank you to everybody who is supporting the channel. Sorry, whoops, I hit the wrong button. Thank you to everybody who's supporting the channel. Thank you to the mods who are showing up and hanging out in the chat. And come back tomorrow so we can finish this one and get it deployed as our completed project. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. Glad you are having fun and having the work pay off. Yes. I mean, here's the thing. I was already like pretty confident in my abilities as a front-end developer, but this is just like taken my confidence level to a whole new realm. Doing it live on YouTube and finding people who enjoy watching it and actually growing a channel. Super fun. So, okay, Angela, stop talking. Let these people go and enjoy their Saturday. Have a great rest of your day. Hopefully I will see you all tomorrow. And take care.